What's up guys, KS here. Thanks for joining me today as always. So as you can see, I've got the Glock 45 on the table, and I did that for a reason, even though I know the title said the 19 MOS Gen 5. Just hang on, it'll be here in a moment. But I released the 45 video just a few days ago, really about a week ago from at least recording this video, and I was so surprised by the comments that you guys left in that video. And by the way, thank you guys for all the comments. It's always so much fun to talk to you guys. It's very meaningful to me, and I think we carry on some really fun conversations, and I love to read your thoughts and insights about this stuff. So again, just want to make sure that I thanked you for that. But with those comments that you guys left, you weren't talking about the Glock 45 quite as much, kind of the new gun that Glock has been really pushing in terms of the marketing that they have. Instead, you were talking about another gun that they released right alongside it, and that's the Gen 5 19 MOS. Now, they also released the 17 MOS, but of course, I think the 19 grabs a little bit more attention naturally. And a lot of you guys were talking about it and saying that that's really the gun that you guys were looking for. Maybe not the 45 so much, even though I have to say, I'm a big fan of this gun right here, but thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk a little bit about the Gen 5 19 MOS. So let's get the 45 off the table, bring in the 19, and dive into it. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. Again, Gen 5 19 MOS. Now, this video is going to be a little bit different than what you guys are used to with me, and partly because it's a Glock 19. We've spent so much time talking about Glock 19s. There are a million videos out there, so I'm not going to bore you with the specs and even a lot of the features here, because of a lot of the features in the Gen 5 were carried forward to this. However, I wanted to highlight some of the changes that you guys specifically mentioned were really meaningful. So this is a bone stock Glock 19 MOS, with the exception of one thing I did want to point out. I do have some Trigicon HD XRs on here. I'm a huge fan of these sights. Now, as you can see, because the dovetail is pushed back for the red dot plate, it does kind of hang off the back a little bit. So these might end up being a placeholder for something else, maybe some suppressor sights. I haven't decided that yet, but I wanted to be able to run this gun with some sights that I'm comfortable with. So that's the only change. Otherwise, it is totally stock for now. That will also change very soon. I'm going to be having a little bit of fun with this, but again, it's a Glock 19 as you would expect. Now, I'm going to bring out the Gen 5 19. I'm going to throw the magazine back in it, but it is empty, of course. Now, here we've got our Gen 5 19, and there were a couple of things about this at the release that people sort of poo-pawed. They weren't very excited about. Most notably, I think, is probably this little cutout right here at the bottom of the forward grip, or front of the grip, however, whatever you want to say. And this was really designed to strip magazines if you have a problem, because you'll notice that the Magwell itself is actually flared, and which I like, by the way. I'm a big fan of the Flared Magwell, but I, like a lot of people, were a little bit confused and a little bit off-put by this little half moon cutout, because depending on the size of your hands, and I've got average large hands, you can definitely feel that cutout when you're shooting. Now, it doesn't hurt, it's not painful or anything like that. It's more just annoying than anything else. And I really thought that was a bit of a miss by Glock, and I think a lot of other people did as well. So with the 19 MOS, thankfully they got rid of it. So that's very exciting. In fact, they kept the Flared Magwell. We'll get rid of this magazine as well, so you'll be able to see that we do have our Flared Magwell, and they just flared it all the way around. I like this, guys. I gotta tell you, I think this is what it needed. It's very comfortable. I mean, it doesn't have the finger grooves, of course, like the Gen 5, which I also have gotten to really appreciate. But that closing that little loop, which seems so insignificant, actually to me makes a really big deal. Now, the other thing about the Gen 5 MOS, they actually carried forward, and I shouldn't have put this away just yet. They carried forward the Gen 5 magazine. Now, we're going to nerd out for a second like we did on the 45 video. On the left, the Gen 5 magazine base plate, you'll notice, is a little bit longer than Gen 4, Gen 3, 2, 1 base plates here on the right. Now, I'm not a fan of the longer base plate. Every once in a while, especially with the regular 19, when you would slam a magazine in, you could actually kind of pinch your finger a little bit, and it could get a little bit annoying. So I get rid of these. I get rid of the base plates, and I go with the older style. That's just kind of a preference of mine. Not really a big deal at all, but just something that I do. Now, the other major change with the Gen 5 MOS, and you'll notice back on the regular Gen 5, we don't have any front serrations. Now, if you guys recall, summer of 2018, this year right now, depending on when you see the video, they released basically a Gen 4.5. They called it the FS, or the Summer Special Gun, or whatever it was, and they had front serrations on it. But then when they came out with the Gen 5, they omitted those serrations, and probably much to the confusion of a lot of people, including me, basically saying, you've got the tooling, why in the world did you not do that? And so what I think basically was going on, they were testing that tooling and trying it out, and they probably wanted to get rid of some Gen 4s that were just stuck in inventory. So that's a great way to get rid of them. Do something slightly different than the regular Gen 4 and call it a special model, get them out the door, and move on with your Gen 5. But again, they omitted those front serrations. Well, I think to the happiness or the welcome of a lot of people here, they brought back the front serrations, and I think that's great. Now, in terms of function, I'm not a big press checker. That's not really a thing with me. For me, it's more a look thing than anything else. It breaks up that slide. I think it makes it look a little bit better. And as we all know, a lot of people go out and they get custom serrations and mill work done on their guns. But for those of us who don't want to do that, or don't want to pay the money and want to be able to leave things a little bit more stock, they've done a little bit of that for you. So it has, to me, a little bit more of an aggressive or custom look. Now, I wish they were more slanted, of course, but at the end of the day, I think this is a better look. It's a welcome change. So, guys, that's really it for the changes on the Gen 5 MOS. And of course, you can run your red dot on it as you would expect from any of the MOS models. But these subtle little changes, I think, are actually really welcome, and they're really important, at least to me. I think it was a welcome change for sure. But the rest of it is Gen 5 as you would expect. It's got a slightly better trigger, I think, than some of the previous models. It's got your marksman barrel. It's got the same NDLC coating, whatever you want to call it, on there. So everything else is pretty much as expected. But again, I think the changes are very welcome. Now, the next time you see this gun, it's going to look pretty different. I've got some fun things coming up with this. Nothing too dramatic. You guys know me. I'm not too outlandish with my firearms. However, it's definitely going to look different. But guys, I want to know what you think about the 19 MOS versus the regular Gen 5. If you're interested in it, if these are welcome changes or not, do you care? Some people definitely don't. So I want to hear about all that and hear your thoughts on this. Again, to me, they're welcome changes. I'm excited about this. But more importantly, I'm excited to talk to you guys. So do be sure to sound off down below. I'm looking forward to those conversations. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.